In today's video, we're going to be breaking down all of the Bruins' defensive lapses in their loss to Baylor, in which the Baylor Bears were able to score 80 points against the UCLA defense. We're going to cover the Bruins' ball screen defense, their off-the-ball defense, and transition in that order. And to make sure to stick around or fast forward to the end where I will give a couple of my personal thoughts on the game. Before we break down the single ball screen action, we have to understand the responsibilities. First, we have Clark, who's on the ball. His job is to fight through the screen and get back in front of the ball handler. Nwaba, who is guarding the pick man, gives a flat show at the point of the screen and has to wall off and can only return to the roller once Clark is back in front of the ball handler. To cover the open roller, we have the weak side help man, known as the tag, which is Tiger Campbell, who has to slide over and essentially tag the roller. But Clark struggles to get through the pick and get back in front of the ball handler, forcing Nwaba to stay with the ball handler, who Nwaba is unable to send back to Clark, which puts tons of pressure on the tag man because he is now forced to stay longer on the roller, not allowing him to return to his man, and essentially becomes responsible for either the pass to the roll and the skip to his man. Tiger essentially now has to read and anticipate the ball handler's eyes on the pass. Once the pass leaves the ball handler's hands, that would be his time to return to his man, putting him in a long closeout. But he is eager to return to an elite 46% three-point shooter and does not tag the roller successfully. This play demonstrates a breakdown on all three responsibilities of the single ball screen action. The same play is run again, but this time Tiger gets stuck on the screen. We get a better show by Nwaba, but Clark, too eager to return to his 47% shooter, leaves the tag way too early. Next, we get Tiger doing a slightly better job fighting through the screen. Nwaba shows well, and Andrews tags successfully and closes out on time. Clark does a better job fighting through the screen. We get a good show by Bona, maybe could have got split, but leaves a tad too early as Clark is not completely in front, allowing him to turn the corner, but the Bruins do a great job of forcing George into an off-balance contested runner. Tiger finally gets through the pick, which allows Nwaba to return to the roller faster, though leaves again a tad too early, while Andrews tags the roller and returns on time to his man, forcing a tested three. On this ball screen action, Hawkes elects to go under, that leads to a switch, and Bonner takes advantage, which leads to a total collapse as Singleton leaves ball side corner, giving a wide open three from the ball side. Here we get a double ball screen action known as horns. The ball handler can pick to attack off either of the ball screens. As for the defense, same rules are applied, except now the tagger in the situation will be whichever side the ball handler goes away from, and in this case it is Clark who again misses the tag. On this horns play, Andrews gets stuck and Nuba is late and unable to contain the ball handler back, as it does look like Clark was looking to tag, but Andrews switches on the big and Flagler takes advantage of the switch. Here Andrews goes under and we get a good show by Nuba, and he's looking to return back to his man, but there is a miscommunication between the two as Clark has decided to switch on to Nuba's man rather than tag and return to his, leaving a wide open loner for the three ball. We get another horns as Bona shows incredibly well at the point of the ball screen, while Hawkes is showing low, otherwise known as drop coverage, and the drawback to drop coverage is you can allow middle quite a bit, which is exactly what happens as Jaime gets turned, forcing Tiger to switch, and dare I even say stop playing, as his man Loner runs ahead of him for the board, but there's no need as Flagler converts. Here we get another switch and Flagler converts again. Now let's move on to the next set of breakdowns for the Bruins, which occurred off the ball. And the three areas of concern are losing our man off the ball and not hard chasing / getting through screens and over helping. On this play, the two guys we need to key in on is Tiger and Cryer. Notice how Tiger loses sight of Cryer, allowing him to get below him. This is an absolute no-no, as you always want to keep your man in front of you, as Tiger's position should have been on his inside shoulder. Instead he's on top, which gives Cryer the edge as Tiger loses him, causing him to over pursue, which Cryer then runs a nice wrinkle called twist that results in confusion between Hawkes and Tiger, leaving the defense off balance, though Baylor does not convert. Next we have Sanka at level with Cryer when he needs to be 1.5 steps down, or again on the inside of Cryer's right shoulder. This allows Cryer to turn Sanka and get a step ahead on the chase. we get a good step out on the screen by Nuba, but now look at Bailey. He has his head completely turned, has no idea where Bonner is, and is helping a tad too much, and Cryer notices, skips it, and puts Bailey in a long closeout as he gets beat off the dribble and Bonner draws the foul at the rim. Again, Bailey lets George get below him, making him late in an obvious chase situation, but elects to go over the top on the baseline, running into a nonchalant Clark, allowing George free, causing Nuba into a late switch, and George misses. Next, Bailey and Nuba both struggle guarding the ball screen, and Clark loses his man, which allows George to throw the lob to Loner, but it's negated by George's travel. Here, Tiger's in an obvious chase situation, but it goes over the top, and then Clark lets his man get behind him and is late in a chase situation, though Baylor does not convert. Now direct your attention to Singleton as he loses Loner, and Clark and Singleton negate it by switching. Though Flagler does not receive the pass, Singleton has put himself in a long closeout situation against one of the best shooters and possibly players in the country, as that is too much space to be off a player like that. Here's Singleton again, this time losing his man on a chase situation, causing a switch which leads to a defensive breakdown as George knocks down the three. Here we have a simple overhelp on the ball side by Singleton that leads to a three. And now we have Clark losing Cryer for an early three. Next, Tiger fails to get back in front of George on the rejected ball screen, forcing Boner to stay. Clark overhelps and loses his man on the skip and is late to get back to Cryer for the three ball. And lastly, we're going to cover transition by just giving you a B-roll of lapses in transition. Some off turnovers, missed baskets, and even made baskets, which really there's no excuse for. The Bruins failed to sprint back consistently, communicating with each other and matching up, which led to Baylor getting some offensive advantages in transition. To summarize the Bruins' defensive performance against Baylor, the Bruins had too many lapses in their ball screen defense, from guys not being tough enough to get through screens, late shows, and bigs not moving their feet well enough on their shows. They missed some tags that you probably could attribute to those issues, and the Baylor horn set really hurt them, especially late in the game as Baylor just kept coming back to it. Off the ball, the Bruins weren't any better. And when you play against a team with elite shooters such as Flagler and Cryer and talents like George, you have to chase them through screens. And you can't relax and fall asleep off the ball and lose them or overhelp off them. You have to hard chase them everywhere and be right on their hip. As the wise words of Major Payne, you got to be on them like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm. And the Bruins too often elected to attempt to take the easy way out on baseline down screens and pin down screens, and you just can't do that against elite shooters. They also lost their man off the ball way too many times and overhelped off shooters, allowing them to get good looks. Lastly, they had way too many lapses in transition, guys not sprinting back, not communicating, and matching up, which led to layups and threes. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.